You're listening to RTLSA.
Yes, and it is Thursday, which means that it is Ask Noel Thursday. And I received questions from the usual suspects as well as one anonymous question. Let me spit that out again. One anonymous question, which I got earlier this week, and I've really been pondering on it for a while. So I hope I can do justice when I come to that. And I was actually just saying to a friend earlier this week as well. With this Arsenal Thursday feature, I wanted to open the floor and the opportunity for people to ask hard questions if they wanted to. I enjoy the light stuff. I really do. Don't get me wrong. And I love that people want to know more about me as well. But I also really feel that this is a platform where it's an opportunity for somebody to get their thoughts and their pain and what off their chest, and maybe get a different perspective. So one of those questions did come through today, and I'll get into that a little later as we go through the segment. But Cheryl sent me a couple of questions. One of the questions, the first one was, what are your 5 favorite songs besides your own that you listen to most? And I thought long and hard about this question. I thought, because I've spoken about it on the show before, it changes on a continuous basis. And, songs in your 20s, sort of fall by the wayside after a while. And as things happen in your life and as things change, certain songs become more relevant to that stage in your life. And then you get to Throwback Thursday where you hear songs from your 20s and they blow your mind and you're like, oh man, I remember that time. I remember that girl. I remember, that rugby tour or whatever it was. And it just brings back memories. But I think Cheryl wanted to know more about what are the 5 songs that I'm listening to at the moment or that I really like. And you would have heard all of them because I play them often on the show as well. But I did put a list of 5 songs together that I really do love at the moment. And very often, I'll be driving the car and the song comes on my Spotify playlist. I will repeat it because it's like one of those songs that I really enjoy. So these are the 5 that I came up with. The first one, Lady A, What If I Never Get Over You? Baby Queen, U-Shaped Hole. I'm absolutely loving that song, and I'm glad it's back at number 1. Paloma Faith, Only Love Can Hurt Like This. Illenium, Good Things Fall Apart. And then one of the most recent ones that I've picked up was Olivia Rodriguez's Driver's License. And I spoke about it yesterday on the show, funny enough. Now, one thing you must know is when I listen to a song, I love writing. I love the way the song is written. And if it is a well-written song, doesn't matter what the song's about, I will enjoy it and appreciate it. Because I take a lot of inspiration from other songwriters as well when it comes to my own writing. So yeah, those are the 5 that I thought are relevant at the moment because they are songs that I will repeat very easily when I'm listening to them on Spotify or something like that. Chris, the next question, how many pillows do I sleep with? Oh, I've got 4 available to me, but I generally only use 2 at a time. I do. And sometimes what I do is I put 2 on one side of the bed and 2 on the other side of the bed. And then somewhere I will chop and change, and then I will switch over so that I've got those 2 available without having to move them. So it's actually, I'm weird like that, I suppose. What is my interpretation of loneliness? Can finding someone really change or alter loneliness? No. Yes and no, but mainly no. Loneliness is something that you deal with as an individual. And I don't think anybody can come into your life and necessarily change that loneliness. I think you need to be in a space where you're happy with yourself and enjoy your own company. And you kind of do away with that loneliness to a large degree. And then when somebody comes into your life, they enhance your life rather than relying on somebody to take away your loneliness. Loneliness is a real thing. Don't get me wrong, but you got to find a way to be happy with who you are rather than relying on somebody to take away that loneliness, I'd say. But with that said, it is always nice to have company. Yeah, I think. Yeah, we've spoken a lot about it on the show as well. Dave and I have spoken about it many times, and you can't rely on other people to deal with your loneliness. Because I have personally been more lonely in a relationship than I have out of a relationship, and that is a very real thing. So it's something that you got to deal with personally, and there are ways that you can do it: hobbies, interests, reading, writing, and spending time with yourself, walking, just doing a lot of things. And you'll be surprised at how quickly those things take away loneliness when you start enjoying your own company. It is, unfortunately, a problem that a lot of people deal with, loneliness, that is. But it's something that can be dealt with and should be dealt with before going into a relationship and relying on somebody else. I've experienced this so many times. When it happens, it's uncomfortable and annoying, which pushes me away. So tell me, why do people stare? If it happens to you, what would you do? Okay, I remember this. I was out the other night in the North Coast, and obviously, maybe I have a recognizable face and whatever, but in this venue that I was at, I felt that there were lots of eyes on me, and I also felt uncomfortable. But that's maybe just because of who I am and what I do. But I generally find when people are staring at you that they are more often than not intrigued, rather than like you might feel like they're making fun of you or something like that. I would shake it off. And the best way to make somebody stop staring at you, I've found, is make eye contact with them and smile. Just do that. Try that. If they're staring at you and you know they're staring at you, just make direct eye contact with them and smile. And you'll see how quickly either they'll smile back or they'll look away. It works. Trust me. As a musician, what do you find most difficult? Reading notes, writing sheet music, or putting the medley together? Well, I don't read notes. I mean, I can, but I don't generally. I work with chords. I definitely can't write sheet music. I can't read sheet music. So, never been interested in that personally. And putting the melody together is a challenge. It's really difficult to put melodies together, to be honest with you. So, I would find that most difficult. And a lot of that's got to do with because you got to be technically proficient in music, as well as have a creative way of putting notes together to put that melody together. And there's some people that do it really well, and some people not so much. I like to think I'm somewhere in between. But yeah, I definitely have to go with putting the melody together being the most difficult thing. Lauren asked me, what did you find challenging about your childhood, and how did you overcome it? There's a funny story behind this, because in my early days, I was in Johannesburg, and I was a bit of a recluse. And I didn't really get on well with a lot of people, and I was shy and whatever. Then when I moved to the small town Palabora, I kind of sort of came out of my shell and wanted, and sort of became like really loud and busy and active and things like that. So it was very two different things. So from the big city, I was a recluse, and in the small town, I was like loud and vibey and carrying on. But my biggest challenge, and I speak more about the small town environment, is that I wanted the big city lights. I wanted to be on stage. I wanted to perform. I wanted to be in the limelight and things like that. And I found that very difficult in a small town. So what I did was I honed my skills in the small town, so that when I went to Johannesburg after school, I was ready to take on that challenge. Yeah, that's how I found that was my biggest challenge. I wanted more in a small little town than what the small little town was offering me. But anyway, I did get to hone my skills, and it's sometimes better to be a big fish in a small pond before moving into a big pond and becoming a small fish again. That's just my thoughts on that. Besides my parents, who shaped me most during my childhood, definitely my friends. I had some really good friends, and particularly from a sporting perspective, they drove me hard in a sporting direction, all different types of sports and things like that. So definitely my friends. Who was my first love and why did it end? I thought long and hard about this, Lauren. I'll tell you what, I don't know if I've ever had a first love, to be honest. Have I loved before? Yes. And I think the way I see it is that every relationship is different, and therefore it's a different love in every relationship. So I don't know about a first love. They're all first loves as far as I'm concerned, because I look at it from a totally different perspective, and I see each relationship as a different relationship. So, and every relationship when I've loved differently. So I don't really know if I can say anything about a first love. Why did it end? Hey, why do relationships end? It is just what it is. People that are in different places in time, in that particular part of their life, or things just happen. Obviously, I was married, and I did love my wife very much. So, it just is. But like I said, every relation is different, and I'm pretty sure that if I love again, I will feel like this is my first real love, and that's just how I see it. Maybe I'm the weird one, yeah. I'm the weird one, yeah. But that's just kind of how I feel about it. Then the big question today, the one that I got from Anonymous, she says, I just had to double check that it was a she, yes. She said she's cheated on her husband 3 times in the last year. He has absolutely no idea, but she feels really bad about it, and the guilt is destroying her mentally. She knows that if she tells him, that he will leave her, but if she doesn't, she might go insane. She does not know what to do. Right, let me first put out a disclaimer by saying that I am not a psychologist, by no means. Yes, I do study a lot of psychology because of the book that I'm writing and things like that, but I'm by no means a psychologist, so please take this advice as my opinion rather than based on anything scientific or through courses of study. I think you need to spend some time with yourself first and ask yourself why. Why did it happen? What is going on within your marriage at that moment? And you say it's happened a couple times over the last period. Why? What is it? What is the environment that leads to that physical action? Firstly, and then secondly, what are the emotional feelings leading up to those physical actions? So I think you need to do a bit of self-studying and really figure out who you are and where you're at with regards to this. And it's really a good idea to maybe go and pick the brain of a psychologist who can help you work through all of this, because there's clearly a reason why you are doing what you're doing. When it comes to your husband, I'll be honest with you from this perspective, it's probably better to rip the band-aid off, and for your own personal sake, for your own mental state. And I don't know if there's children involved or anything like this, but I honestly think that it's better to be open and straightforward with your husband. But maybe go and do a bit of self-studying first before you get to that point, and rip that bandit off, because then maybe you'll be able to justify it more. Is he going to be upset? Most likely, surely. But if he does love you, if he really does love you, he will at least give you the platform to explain yourself. And then from there, it can be a process. You guys can work together, or alternatively, if it doesn't work, it's just another thing in your life that you're going to have to deal with. I don't know if I'm giving you the right advice, but I honestly think that firstly, go do some introspection, self-searching, ask yourself why this has happened, and then maybe seek some guidance from a professional in this field. And then my advice would be, rather than him finding out another way, be honest and say, look, this is what happened, this is why it happened, and this is what I would like to see come out of this. And then, like I said, if he really loves you, he'll give you the opportunity to explain yourself, and then obviously the decision will remain with him. That is all we have time for today. Thank you so much for your questions. It's been a lot of fun talking about them. We'll do it again next week. We're going to get into your power play trivia on the other side of this.
You're listening to RTLSA.